Hey everyone, Bill here, and I was sitting here practicing The Dance of Eternity by the band Dream Theater, one of my favorite bands and one of my favorite albums by them. And I caught myself kind of in a crucial point in the practice process, and I wanted to share a few things that I thought would be helpful for all you out there. Now, one quick note I want to make is that obviously I'm playing this on a 6-string guitar. The original song is played on a 7-string guitar, and I have a 7-string. I have a great Ernie Ball over there, but I intentionally wanted to play this on a 6-string so that all of you out there know that you can play this particular riff on a 6-string and it doesn't limit you. Also, if you wanted to play the instrumentally, if you ever want to take that on, Petrucci plays that on a 6-string, and this particular section is in that whole thing. The first thing I want to address is I started learning this song, well, originally I started learning from the beginning like you would imagine you would, but this time around I tried to draw from something that I learned in the classical guitar world, which is try learning a complex song like this from the end of the song. And learning it backwards. Now that doesn't mean like note for note, last note, next note down. It just means take it the last section and learn each section from the end to the beginning. And I think the psychology of this is that as you learn the song, or as you play the song from the beginning, you actually get more familiar with it as you go through the song. For this lesson, I'm going to be focusing on the end of the song. It starts with that very last riff that sounds like that whole thing. So, and there's a few concepts that I want to address in regard to that riff for you as well. The next topic I want to address is breaking this down into bite-sized chunks. Now, obviously, we're already taking it just the section alone, but within that, I want to really take a look at that riff. And when you're learning something like this, being okay with going, okay, there's one riff. I'm good with that, or am I good with that? Okay, and then recognizing that really this section is built off of taking that one riff and creating variations on it. I'm almost positive that's exactly how the band rehearsed it. They rehearsed it slow and said, okay, here's a riff, let's add a beat, let's chop a beat off, and so forth. So let's talk about that. So here, again, the main riff is... Okay, and then the variation in the next bar is going to be adding that last beat, or last 4 16th notes, which of course is the same as the beat before it, but we're now moved down a half step. And by the way, I'll try to link a tab to this. I do think it's helpful to have the tab. So now what I want to do in my practicing is playing just those 2 bars back to back, so I have a very clear understanding of 1 and 2. Okay, and then in the 3rd bar, we're going to play the first riff again. Okay, then in the 4th bar, we're going to do... So again, another variation. We're just now adding an ascending lick to it. So, one more time. And even when I'm practicing, I'm okay with stopping in between each riff, or even out loud saying to myself, okay, there's riff 1, there's riff 2, or riff 1 modified, there's riff 1 again, there's riff 1 with the ascending line. Being very deliberate about characterizing each of these. Now, as a quick note about the time signatures of that section, so the main riff that we're dealing with here is in 3/4, so when we add the beat, it's going to be 4/4 riff. And then we go back to 3/4, of course, for the original riff. And then when we do the ascending line, that's going to be another 4/4 bar. Okay, so for the next 4 bars, we're going to start with that same riff again, but this time we're going to start chopping off beats. So if the main riff is in 3/4, in the second bar, if you think of 3/4 as 6/8, they're equivalents. If we chop a beat off, 6/8 is going to become 5/8. So that looks like this. Here's the main riff. In that second bar, we're going to be right here. We're going to jump to the... Okay, so... Okay, and again, the tab might be helpful to visualize this, but hopefully conceptually that makes sense. So then in the 3rd bar of these 4 bars, we're going to go back to the main riff, and then in the 4th bar, we're going to play that same modified version of the riff, the shortened version, but we're gonna add an extra beat onto that, so it's gonna become a 7/8 bar. I know that's a lot, but here's what it looks like. Here's the 4th bar in this section. That part is the same as before, but then we're gonna go do that same riff down. So it's very similar, but we've just kind of chopped off a beat, basically. So here's the 4 bars all together. Okay, so very similar but different than the first 4 bars. And again, I think it's part of the practice process, maybe play just those 4 bars to get them very clear in your head, and then try putting together the first 4 bars followed by the second 4 bars. I think that, it may seem like a lot or it may seem time consuming, but in my experience, that is probably the quickest way to learn something complicated like this, effectively anyway. Okay, now after that, we're gonna go into this cool pattern. That's a 5/8 bar, just repeated, what is that, 3 times, I think? And then there's a walk up, yeah, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we do a walk up. Okay, so, and again, just take those 4 bars and do those. And by the way, that last bar is a 6/8 bar, so 3 bars of 5, 1 bar is 6. So here are those 4 bars all together. Okay, and again, now once you get that section, put the whole thing together. First 4 bars, second 4 bars, and then these 4 bars, and really drill those, isolate sections. Okay, so for the next section, for the most part, we're basically going to play everything we just played, but down an octave. So what I would do in this case is play it slowly. It's not a gimme. There's definitely some, with the wider frets up here, you've got to really get your fingers used to playing in those spots. So don't jump into it at full speed. Play it slow. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there because now we're going to start mixing it up a little bit. So we've got that same riff, like with a walk up. That's pretty much all the same, I believe. But then we're going to walk up into a modulated version of that riff. But here they're going to mix it up and not do the same 6/8 bar for the walk up. They're only going to do a 5/8 bar, so they're going to chop off that last beat. Thanks, Dream Theater. So it's only going to be that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then here we're going to do another modulated version of that. And again, we're going to have a little variation. We're going to have, this is the main riff. But here, right here, we're going to play. So. And then we'll go back to the first. Okay, so there's 3 bars. Main riff, modified, back to the main riff, and then here we're going to have another walk up. So now we're going to go back to a 6 pattern, 6/8. It's actually technically 6/16, but because we're dealing with 16 notes, but it's still, I think of the top number, the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this case, it's going to be a 6 pattern. So, and we're going to do another modulated version of that, slightly different this time. And then we're going to have a, not really a walk up or a walk down. It's kind of a walk down, but it's one more time. Okay, and then here we're gonna bridge into the last section of the song, which is kind of a, it's effectively a 12/8 pattern with modification. Okay, so then we're going to modify that up a whole step with a little variation. You can see that little walk up, walk down. Refer to the tab for that, but you can see it's a similar pattern but with a little variation. And then we're going to move that into a modulated version with A as the root. So we've been through B as the root, C sharp as the root. Now we're going to modulate it to A as the root. Then we're going to modulate that to F sharp. There's a little retard there. then we're into one last time, if you're going to go that far. So again, I think for that last section, it might be nice to have the tab. It's hard for me to walk through every single note of it. So all in all, I mean, obviously it's a great song. I mean, hopefully if you're actually watching this, you're a fan of the song and a fan of the band. I mean, I think it's just brilliant. I mean, the whole album, I mean, was extremely. I would go beyond inspiring. I would say it was life-changing for me. This particular album, and certainly the song was just amazing. But again, I'm sitting here learning it. I mean, I've learned tons and tons of songs in various styles, so I feel like I have some credibility when it comes to offering advice, when it comes to learning something complicated like this. So hopefully what we talked about in this is useful for you, and I hope you have fun with it.